One of the most profound questions I was asked in my 32-year military career was, Jeff, what do you want your leadership legacy to be? I've never stopped thinking about that question. And more importantly, how critical it was to get the answer right. You know, our legacy is defined by the impact we have had on people's lives long after we're gone. That's how you're going to be remembered. What do you want your legacy to be? And after you figure that out, how are you going to get there from here? A profound question. So let me give you an example from my life that will kind of help frame this for us. One of the elements of the legacy that I want to leave is the following. I want to help people have the courage to do what's right. If I'm going to achieve that, I have developed a model, a framework over many years to help guide my journey. And it has helped me. And it has been so important in my life that I want to share it with you. Why, you ask? I don't care how old or how young you are or where you are in your life, you have the opportunity to make a better difference in the lives of others beginning today. And perhaps my framework, my model, can help you achieve that goal. I'm a world-class fan of the arts. And I thought it would be useful to help use the arts, to help you visualize each of the elements of my model. And that might be kind of fun. So if you are willing and you have an open mind and are considering how you can leave this auditorium today working on a better legacy for your future, I encourage you to listen to the perspective I'm going to offer today. And I'm going to use the world of the arts to help that cause. When I look at this image of a sculpture, a partially completed sculpture by the great Michelangelo, I see myself here. I see myself coming out of this piece of granite. I know I've got some pretty refined skills, like you can see in the bottom half of that picture with the polished knee. I got other skills that are a little rough around the edges, and I got others that haven't yet been formed. But this sculpture reminds me that I am still growing. I'm still learning, and I will continue to do so until the good Lord calls me home. Let's look at my model now. When I see a master craftsman like this blacksmith forging iron, one thing comes to mind that helps me in my leadership world, and that is character. Character is who we are and what we stand for. Its foundation is based on values, things like integrity and loyalty and respect and service. Values they don't happen overnight. They are cultivated over time. And it takes fire and smoke and heat and ultimately a hammer to forge iron. And it's that same concept that helps us forge values in this culture that resides in our heart every day that guides how we behave. Character was the most admired trait that I remember in the legacy that my father left me. He was a salesman, and he was a good one. And I will always remember how kind he was, how respectful he was, the way he treated everyone he met, regardless of their walk in life. When you think of the people who left a monumental legacy in your world, was not character at the essence of that memory? Norman Rockwell, famous American artist, painted this picture, one of his most famous paintings. It represents one of the four freedoms highlighted in President Roosevelt's 1941 State of the Union address. These paintings inspired patriotism. They inspired a change in attitude of the American people towards the war effort. Remember where we were back in 1941. You have the opportunity to make a decision about your attitude. No one likes hanging around with naysayers and chronic complainers, do you? I don't. Your attitude can change everyone you meet and everything you do in life. How fired up do you get when you see a picture of a rock formation from somewhere out west? Most people see a rock formation. Not everyone does, though. The Danish-American sculptor Gutzon Borglum saw something very different when he saw this rock formation in the Black Hills of South Dakota. He had a vision. A vision is inspirational to us. What can we learn from a sculptor? We need a vision in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to have an azimuth, a direction on where we want to go and where we want to be. Where do you want to be a year from now? 2 years from now? 5 years from now? Do you have any idea? Have you ever given it serious thought to mapping out your future? I had a wonderful mentor in my life when I was a young officer in the military. I was assigned to Korea at the time. And this colonel invited me into his office. And he sat me down in his conference room table there, and he took out a yellow legal-size pad of paper. And he drew out a 5-year plan for me. And he highlighted the objectives, the goals, the decision points, and the jobs I would need to have a successful career over the next 5 years. I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I have drawn that 5-year plan on a legal-sized piece of paper for me and for so many others. Folks, you need to have a vision on where you want to go. You need to put a mark on the wall. You need to highlight some milestones that are going to get you there. And every time you conquer one of those milestones, you need to pop the cork on a champagne bottle or your favorite beverage of choice and celebrate the victory. And once you get to that ultimate goal, you need to start all over again. It's a journey. You've got to have a vision. What do you think of when you see this image of one of the longest Broadway running shows in history? When I saw this show, I was fascinated about how extraordinary the performers were at acting and singing and dancing. It was amazing to me to see so many people on stage and causing you to believe that they were singing and dancing animals. What can you learn from a Broadway show like this? To me, it is an absolute commitment to excellence. For these performers to be this extraordinary, they had to commit themselves to excellence themselves, and they had to demand it from others. It took tireless study and observation and training and rehearsals to get to be that professional. Can you imagine the endurance it takes to peak every day for weeks and months on end to perform on stage? Excellence matters. You have to commit yourself to it. Yourself, and you have to demand it from others in your family, in your worlds, in your businesses, because if you don't, you're going to create a culture of mediocrity. And ladies and gentlemen, mediocre Broadway shows don't last very long. You better get your ticket quick if you want to see them. The Preservation Hall Jazz Band performed on this very stage 4.5 years ago. Maybe some of y'all saw them. I missed them. I hate that I missed them. What can you learn from a jazz band about leadership? When you see these guys perform, there is a leader of the band, but it's not easy to determine who that leader is. But there is one guy responsible for recruiting and assessing the talents of every musician. He is responsible more than anyone else for building trusted relationships with every member of that band. He is responsible for determining the melodies and the tempos that bring out the best in every individual performer. He encourages creativity and innovation amongst the guys. It is the trusted relationships that he has built with these folks that allows him to share that leadership role on stage. And you know what I'm talking about? Because every member of these jazz bands, one at a time, they come out and they perform a solo. And when that happens, the expectation is for every other member of that band to do everything they can to enhance that soloist performance. If you take away nothing else from my presentation today, understand this, that trusted relationships trumps everything if you want to create a positive legacy in your world. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my framework, that is my model that has helped guide my journey for years, and it will continue to do so in the future as I keep learning and growing. If you want to raise the bar and have a better impact on the lives and the legacy that you leave, I would encourage you to consider this model as a template for you. And I wish you the best in your journey. Thank you.